Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Monday, June 17th, 2024 City Council meeting. I will now call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Schultz.
Here.
Latta.
Here.
Cruz.
Here.
Hallbaker.
Here.
Ganfield. Chrisman. Chrisman.
Here.
Dunn. Here. Councilmember Ganfield absent.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And if willing and able, could everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Now look for a motion to approve the minutes of regular city council meeting of June 3rd.
So moved. Second.
Motion and seconded. And any discussion? And that requires a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, any agenda revisions?
I have no agenda revisions, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And we will now open it up to public forum or speakers. Words. Speakers will have one opportunity to speak for up to 5 minutes on topics relevant to city business. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to speak tonight? Just name and city, please.
Carrie Sherwood, Dyke. I was here May 20th and spoke to you guys. It was mainly regarding my email to you and the lack of response. And then some of the health insurance. And if you don't remember, my husband's the one that died, and here I must start again, February 23rd. And it was declared accidental duty related. So after the last meeting, I couldn't help but wonder, so I have a few follow-up comments. I couldn't help but wonder why nobody made a motion to extend my time by even a minute, considering the subject and considering that I used part of the time to give recognition to the employees and for the things that they had done for me. And maybe I don't know how this works. Nobody made a motion to take this offline, to send it to a committee, to do any work on it, do any research on it. So it makes me kind of wonder if you were told to not engage with me if I came, because it just seems strange to me that nobody made any comments or anything during that time based on what I was speaking about. As it turns out, when I was here last, the information we had was wrong. I was told multiple times that if a policy was put in place, that it couldn't be retroed back to me, multiple times. I was told the reason I kept pushing is because I was told by multiple cities of all sizes that they could and would still cover me in this scenario. So something was not right. So I continued to research. I continued to be a thorn in the city side, mainly the mayor. I know it, I admit it. I already had a copy of Waterloo's policy, and I believe Bailey had a copy. We both received it probably around the same time. But because multiple cities continued to tell me that they could still cover me, I asked Waterloo for more documentation, employee handbook, that sort of thing. In the employee handbook, it says they have the exact type of health plan and they have stop-loss insurance as well. It says in there that that policy that was written would retro back to employees' families prior to the date the policy was written. So they wrote a policy, they could retro it back. But still, besides the mayor, and I could be wrong, maybe other people engaged in this and was helping and trying to expedite the process, making phone calls. I was drowning in grief, and I'm here making phone calls trying to figure this out. It was not easy. So I'm thankful for the mayor to continue to dig in, and if anybody else raised their hand and helped him, I thank you too. I don't have that information. So there was supposed to be a vote tonight for a policy, and that's been delayed by 2 weeks. The mayor did call me last week and told me. I don't really understand what's taking so long. I raised concerns about this with the city staff within a couple weeks of my husband dying. I got with the mayor and Mr. Gaines on April 14th. Council was made aware on May 9th in an email, and again May 20th during a council meeting. But again, no action seemed to be taken during that meeting, no urgency, nothing, no follow-up. Now we wait another 2 weeks, and who knows what's going to happen between now and then. You're not, when a policy comes forward, I realize I've ruffled feathers. I'm outspoken, and I say it the way that it is. But you're not approving a policy for Carrie Sherwood. You're not approving a policy for me. You're approving a policy for the employees, the city, the family. This is not about me. Waterloo already has a policy in place. They're your biggest competitor for retaining top talent and recruiting top talent in the positions that the cities have. They have a policy. They've already researched it all. How hard is it to just put that policy into place? What more information do you need? They became aware of this situation. I'm going to say the names wrong. During the T-Bone Taylor hoeing and rice situation. And I hope at some point we can say that Cedar Falls woke up because of the loss of Brad Sherwood. But I really, really do not understand what is taking so long and how hard this is to put a policy in place that a neighboring city already has, your biggest competitor. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. No, I know I gave an update at the last council meeting, but it is something, I'll take some ownership on this. I've kept the council up to date on what I was working on. I know I wasn't able to be at that meeting. I'll admit it's taken longer than it should have and longer than I'd like it to. So I know it is, though, an ongoing discussion, and so thank you for coming. Anyone else for public comment? Name and city, please.
Rick Sharp, 1623 Birch Street, Cedar Falls. First of all, I just want to thank the mayor and staff for responding to my email about the yard waste fees and look into it. So it sounds like there is going to be a study coming up, so I hope that material is going to be available for the public to kind of review and comment on. So I do appreciate the quick response by you guys. Second thing I want to talk about is that time of year with the fireworks. I'm one of those that have the pets. PTSD, being a veteran and stuff. Yeah, so we're, not a big fan of those. And I got probably a large group of people with that. But the rules are what the rules are set by the city. I may not like the length of the hours, the times that you've set them up. I like to see more of a restricted hours and even restricted days. But again, for the public safety department, what are the enforcement plans for this upcoming holiday season? It is well known across the state that many cities have difficulty enforcing it. It is all the cities, Cedar Falls included, they put it as a low priority call. It's at the bottom of the list. And so therefore, you really don't get people coming out there to enforce it. So what are the enforcement mechanisms? Most of the law enforcement agencies say that, well, we got to catch them in the act. Well, by the time, since it's a low priority call, you get out there, the show is over after hours. I like to see the city be a little bit more aggressive in either staging areas that we know there are problem areas. I know the park by my house is a prime location for people shooting them off. I go over there frequently every holiday season to chase them off the ball fields and stuff. Getting too old to do that, but I'll still continue to do my best. Are we going to use the fireside PSOs to respond? They are law enforcement. I think a lot of you forget that. They are law enforcement. They can easily go out on their trucks, their pickup trucks, their engines. They take them out already doing burning complaints, commercial inspections, rental inspections, public events. So it's not unlike them to not go out and participate. So if it's a staffing issue just on the police side, I'm just saying you guys got another side of the department that absolutely not doing anything during those times. I guess that's what I'm just asking for. And if the response is like, well, we don't get a lot of complaints about it, well, maybe we look at the aspect of that. People just know there's no response, so why bother calling? So I'm just kind of curious to see what the enforcement plans are for this season. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Rick. And Chief, would you like to just kind of cover what the kind of, for anyone that does have a call or anything when they want to call in, what is our typical process for everything?
Well, the days that are legal are Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And over the last couple of years, we've done special enforcement, and it's just to no avail. There's no need for it. We don't have the call. We don't have the call volume. So we will run a zero tolerance policy for anybody that violates outside of the time that's been given by the council or on days that aren't given by the council. But those will be handled by shift regularly the calls are pretty minor that come in. Matter of fact, it's cut our calls by well over 70%. Use is not a big drop, it's just legal. You know, now, I encourage people to call in. If people are using them inappropriately, like a city park, or after hours, or on a street, or on a sidewalk, those we will enforce with the zero tolerance policy, and we would use the fire side if calls were to elevate to a point where we needed the help. We have used them the last 2 years, but we just don't need it.
Is it the non-emergency number for people to call?
Yep, they can call 911. We'll get it dispatched, and we'll get people in the area, so.
I know we've had a few people reach out that had concerns from people they knew last year were setting off a lot that we've tried to do some proactive talking to. So at least trying to do a little more to, even though the state law only tells us so much we can do, at least encourage the good neighbor. So favor from everyone is make sure that if you know anyone that does big shows, just ask them to be courteous of the time limits.
Yeah, I think our message has been pretty straightforward, that if you've got something planned, speak with your neighbors, be courteous about it, clean up your mess, and make sure you're doing it safely and legally.
Thank you.
I've already seen some yard signs out, and you get the information flyers to the vendors?
Yes,
This year,
Chief
too?
Zalondek's been in charge of all that, but we've got all the signs out. We just ordered some more today for here at City Hall, and every vendor that will sell will put a flyer in the bag of the product that they sold. So the information will go to anybody that buys fireworks here at Cedar Falls.
I think just to clarify, because I think maybe it was last year that the tickets weren't enforceable because of state code, but this year they are enforceable.
Yeah, that was
2 years ago,
2
Mayor.
years ago? Okay. So it's still enforceable.
Yep, it's up to, or no less than a $250 fine, but it's a court appearance.
Anyone else for public comment? All right, seeing none, we will now move on to staff updates. Mr. Gaines, any staff updates?
We don't have any this evening, Mayor.
And then I'll give a quick update on fireworks. But we will have the city show on June 27th that we're partnering with you and I on. So council voted to approve that the last one. We've actually, within that week, got everything but about $1,500 of the $15,000 raised. So thank you to the businesses that stepped up to do that pretty quickly. If anybody else has money, though, we'll take it. But it will be June 27th out behind the Unidome, and we will be right around dusk, 9:30, 9:45 when it starts to get dark, but it'll be open before that. People can drive up, park pretty much any of those surrounding lots. There's a lot of the parking maps available online. So if anyone has questions, feel free to reach out to the city and we can do the details. All right, so special order of business. Item number 2, hearing on complaint issued to MT Tanks LLC, DBA Panther Travel Center, 1525 West Ridgeway Avenue for first tobacco violation. And I believe we have oral comments from,
Can we get a motion?
Austin McMahon from Swisher and Court, Mayor.
thank you, Kevin.
We need a more motion.
Oh, excuse, so do we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Take it away.
Just a point of order, Mayor. So we're going to the oral comment. This is a hearing, so it's not a motion necessarily until after oral comments, and then the council will adopt the order.
Okay. We'll bring that back.
Thank you, council. In this matter, and I'm pretty sure you guys have packets that my assistant sent to you, pretty straightforward. Exhibit A is a citation or infraction that was issued to Alexa Downs, an employee of MT Tanks LLC, for providing tobacco to persons under the age of 21 in violation of Iowa Code 435A.2. That was filed on March 11, 2024. Ms. Downs pled guilty by paying the fine, hence the second page of Exhibit A. That plea is indicated by the violations handled by clerk. That was in April. In Iowa Code 453A.22 renders the employer, MT Tanks LLC, vicariously liable for its employee's violation. To my understanding, this would be a first violation, which would call for a civil penalty in the amount of $300, excuse me.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll look for a motion to,
So moved.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Just to make sure that the defendant isn't present and doesn't want to
Offer.
make comments.
is the defendant present then for any fellow comments? Seeing none, we'll move to approved and authorized, let me read it quick just for everyone listening. Approved and authorized execution of an order passing penalty relative to the first tobacco violation regarding Panther Travel Center, 1525 West Ridgeway Avenue.
So move.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, and any discussion? Seeing none, and Attorney Rogers, do we need any public comment for the hearing?
No.
Okay. So this requires a roll call vote.
Oh, shoot. Where's my... It's not working. Damn it. Oh, there you go. Lost my mouse.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now move on to item number 3, public hearing on the proposed rezoning from M1 Light Industrial District to C2 Commercial District of properties located at 2216 Main Street and 127 East 23rd Street. Do we have a motion to receive and file proof of publication of the...
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, and requires a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None, and we have written excuse me, Madam Clerk, any written communications?
I have no written communications on file, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, and then we have staff comments. Hey, Karen.
Good evening. This rezoning is associated with the adjacent properties rezoning at 2300 Main Street. It's 2 smaller parcels adjacent to the commercial building. The applicant requested this rezoning because the building's already being used for commercial purposes. The zoning is industrial. They would like to be able to lease it to a dental clinic, and it's not allowed in that zone. So they've requested commercial zoning. It's consistent with the comp plan, and all the infrastructure is there to support it. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval.
Thank you. And do we have any public comments on this item? All right, seeing none, we will close the public hearing and look for a motion to pass an ordinance amending the zoning map by removing real estate located at 2216 Main Street and 127 East 23rd Street Commercial District upon its first consideration.
So moved.
Been motioned and seconded, and say again, Attorney Rogers, do we need public discussion on this item?
If council wishes, sure.
Yep. So any discussion from council on this? And any from the public? Seeing none, a roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Move on to item number 4, pass ordinance number 3059, amending the zoning map by removing real estate located at 2300 Main Street from M1 Light Industrial District to C2 Commercial District upon its third and final consideration. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And
Second.
And seconded. And any discussion? Any from the public? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Madam Clerk, item number 5, pass ordinance number 3060, vacating certain public right-of-way of an alley between Longview Street and Center Street upon its third and final consideration. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion seconded. And any discussion from council? Any from the public? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item number 6, passed ordinance number 3061, amending Chapter 1, general provisions of the Code of Ordinances relative to the general penalty for simple misdemeanors upon its third and final consideration. Motion?
So moved.
One of those is a second. And any discussion from council? And any from the public? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Kelly.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I hit it. I apologize.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item number 7, pass ordinance number 3062, amending Chapter 2, Administration of the Code of Ordinances relative to approval of bills and claims against city upon its third and final consideration. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
And seconded. Any discussion from council? Any from public? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
I don't know if I'm in the right.
I don't think I got the right one either. I
Mine
got
says
bills and claims.
This
306.
Or is that the,
Yeah, 3062, that's the right.
Yeah, that's the
what we're on.
Sunday
Is it?
conduct.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
okay.
Number 7?
Yep, okay.
I hit yes.
All of a sudden, I'm thinking I voted on the wrong
We're at the end of the meeting.
Yeah.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item number 8, pass ordinance number 3063, amending Chapter 5, alcoholic and malt beverages of the Code of Ordinances relative to location and operation generally, and Chapter 17, parks and recreation of the Code of Ordinances relative to noxious weeds prohibited, exceptions upon its third and final consideration.
So moved.
And second?
I'll second.
Any discussion from council? And any from the public? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item number 9, pass ordinance number 3064, amending Chapter 10, garbage and refuse of the Code of Ordinances relative to the use of city collection service upon its third and final consideration. A motion second?
So moved.
Second.
And any discussion from council? And any from the public? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Madam Clerk. Item number 10, pass ordinance number 3065, amending Chapter 16, offenses and miscellaneous provisions of the Code of Ordinances relative to disorderly conduct generally upon its third and final consideration. Do we have a motion and
So
second?
moved.
Second.
Any discussion from council? And any from the public? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item number 11, pass ordinance number 3066, amending Chapter 18, planning of the Code of Ordinances relative to the powers and duties upon its third and final consideration. Motion second.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion from council? Any from the public? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item number 12, pass ordinance number 3067, amending Chapter 23, traffic and motor vehicles of the Code of Ordinances relative to general passing upon its third and final consideration. Motion second.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion from council? And any from the public? Seeing none, roll call vote, please. Yours go through, Gil?
Mine didn't take?
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And item number 13, pass ordinance number 3068, amending Chapter 6, animals of the Code of Ordinances relative to the impoundment of dogs, cats, or poultry running at large, redemption of impounded animals, permitting dog, cat, or poultry to run at large, disposition of impoundment animals, and notice of destruction of animal appeal upon its second consideration.
So
Motion.
moved.
And second?
Second.
Any discussion from council? And any from the public? All right, seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Me again? All right,
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
caught up on our housekeeping.
We will now move on to the consent calendar. So the following items will be acted upon by a voice vote on a single motion without separate discussion, unless someone from the public or public requests, or council or public requests, that a specific item be considered separately. Are there any requests for items on the consent calendar that can be considered separately from the council? And any from the public?
Numbers 25 and 26.
That'll be on the resolution calendar next after we do the consent. No problem. All right, so consent calendar, any other from the public? All right, seeing none, we'll look for a motion to approve items 14 through 20.
So moved.
And second.
Second.
Any discussion from council or any from the public? Seeing none, a voice vote, so all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And that motion carries. I'll move on to the resolution calendar. So the following items will be acted upon by a roll call vote on a single motion without separate discussion unless someone from the council or public requests that a specific item can be considered separately. I'm going to pull item number 23.
23 for me also.
Okay. And any other from council?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. 35.
And any other from council? All right, and any from the public? 25 and 26. 25 and 26? Yes, sir. Any other from the public? All right, seeing none, we'll look for a motion then to approve items 21 through 44, excluding items 23, 25, 26, and 35.
So moved.
Second.
Then motion and second. Any discussion from council or any from the public? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll now go to item number 23, resolution approving and authorizing execution of an employment agreement with the city administrator. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
The motion is seconded, and I'll start off quick. So just wanted to pull this just to give some of the background detail. I know I included it in the memo, but this was in discussion, I know, with several of you, with Administrator Gaines, and I've reviewed this through with staff. The goal with this really was to, for most executives within city government, have some sort of contract. This still is an at-will position. It's still the same in terms of how it can be, you know, if it's a 4-3 vote from council to remove the position, it can be. This really, though, just gives some coverage that if there's a removal without cause, for no reason, there's some severance there. For cause is still the same. That position can be removed just like any other employee if it's in that cause. It does include the stipend then for travel. And really there is wanting to make sure we're not wasting too much time just tracking mileage and trying to make sure our time is being spent in the most effective places. Did review that with Jennifer Rodenbeck to look at what have the costs been on mileage month by month in the past. And then thank you to staff, Bailey especially did a lot of work on comparatives for a lot of this information. So wanted to then have a chance for discussion if anybody has questions, concerns, or clarifications.
That was a lot of what I wanted to get across, so I think it's a fair and a good step forward.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Cruz.
I would like to motion to refer this to an executive session in the future because this is an employment matter. Not all the council's here to discuss this, and there are some components that I think need to be discussed that would be appropriate in executive session.
And I know, discussed with Attorney Rogers on what the employee review piece looks like. I know I've talked with some of you. So we can do an employee review. That's something we've talked about that we can look at because I know part of the contract was in discussions with everyone was looking at, okay, we also haven't done a good job with our employee reviews over the last couple of years, if we ever did them a lot of times. So I do think that's a conversation. Wanted to open it up to everyone here, though, because I know there are some differing opinions on doing that as a part of this discussion versus doing that as part of separate discussion. So I just wanted to kind of open it up to, if I can clarify what he's asking for, is wanting to review staff performance in a separate executive conversation, which that would need to be a discussion with city administrator. We can discuss having an employee review, but that has to be a request from city administrator to have that in the executive discussion. But just want to open it up if anyone else wants to discuss that at this time as a part of this agreement versus a separate conversation later.
Mr. Mayor, is there a motion made?
Yes, I made a motion to refer it to executive session as an employment matter.
Consideration of this contract?
Yes, the components of the contract.
That'd be improper use of closed session. It's not one of the exceptions to the open meetings law that would allow discussion of the contract. The employee review, however, of performance upon request of the employee can be in closed session.
So if I can maybe clarify for you, maybe you're asking to table this, but you're asking to have a employee review.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm looking at, sorry, some of the components of this that I think need to be discussed. And if we want to do it with a public, employee review, certainly. I mean, this is a significant change in what we've had for policy for decades, or a long time.
And when you mean policy, do you just mean having a contract with?
Well, a contract, you have a severance, professional participation, qualifications, so on.
So just since Attorney Rogers, just since he had made that motion, do we need to address that? If that's not allowable, do we need to reclarify what the request is?
My advice is to not adopt the motion, so council can act as it sees fit.
So any other discussions? We've got that motion. Well, do we have anyone second that? Okay, so not seeing a second on that, we'll go back to the original motion, which is the approval of the contract. So open for any discussion. And seeing none, just check Hannah. Still there? I haven't looked at my phone.
She gave you a thumbs up.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second, and this requires a roll call vote.
Mr. Mayor, do we need to have public comment?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Thank you. So any discussion from the public as well? All right, seeing none, look for a roll call vote, please.
Five voting aye, one voting nay, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That motion passes. We'll now move to item 25, resolution approving and authorizing execution of an administrative services agreement with Wellmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, Wellmark Health Plan of Iowa, relative to the city's fiscal year 2025 employee health plan. Do we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Okay, motion seconded, and any discussion from council? All right, seeing none, any discussion from the public? Just name and city again, please.
Rick Sharp, 1623 Birch, Cedar Falls. I'm just going to tie 25, 26 together. If they don't apply, go ahead and chalk them out. Only reason why I brought it up is based on your discussions with Carrie Sherwood. If this, whatever you propose, is attached to the insurance policy, why not just pull the entire thing right now, and instead of voting on it and then revisiting it again in a few weeks? Like I said, I'm just speaking out of pure ignorance right here. I will say my own comments in regards to the line of duty deaths are thankfully rare in this town. I've been a firefighter for 27 years here, and I can only recall one during my tour of duty here. So because of that, I would be an advocate for Carrie, saying why not treat the employees and their families with the respect they deserve in these kind of situations by offering them, continue to let them stay on the family plan for as long as they need to be, because it's not going to cost the city anything that much more. Like I said, for as rare the event is, I strongly encourage you guys to consider an option to help the families out on that. But that's something I wanted to kind of tie these together. I don't know, I might be in the wrong venue for that.
And I can answer that. So this, these were already underway when this situation came up. It's just our normal annual renewal. So that's why it's separate, because we still needed to move those forward. All right, thanks, sir. No problem. All right, so item number 25, any other public discussion? And seeing none, a roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll do item number 26, resolution approving a stop-loss policy with Wellmark Incorporated relative to the city's fiscal year 2025 employee health plan. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
And seconded. Any discussion from council? And any from the public? All right, seeing none, we'll look for a roll call vote.
I'm not
Hold on one second.
refreshed.
Not
Okay.
refreshing either.
It's not refreshing, yeah.
There we go.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. We move to item number 35, resolution approving and authorizing the expenditure of funds for the purchase of fencing relative to the Orchard Hill Pickleball Court Expansion Project. Do you have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
And seconded, and any discussion from council? Councilmember Cruz?
Mr. Mayor, just a quick question. This appears to be for the new courts. Do we have similar soundproofing around the existing courts? And if not, why wouldn't we? Because that's where the noise is coming from now that the complaints are. So just want to make sure we treat all the courts with similar soundproofing.
No, we do not have soundproofing around the existing courts right now. We took the discussion to be related to the new courts being closer to residential. We could look into whether that acoustic block being placed where it is would effectively also, with the existing courts being further to the east there, if it would effectively do the same thing. My guess is probably.
Right. I mean, I think there should be consideration for that because though they're not as close to the west residential, but to the north, there's the noise that carries right into those homes. And I was in those homes while while they're playing pickleball, and I could hear the boing, boing, boing. So I think it's appropriate to look at soundproofing for that as well. There's no reason not to.
And maybe look for just council consensus here, asking everyone, just because it's follow-up, I was wondering from our pickleball discussion, do we want to give direction to look at getting that same soundproofing ordered for the previous courts, knowing we did have some wiggle room in that budget, but wanted to get...
So that would be within the same budget? The money is,
Well, it's not, it wasn't officially budgeted in there because it wasn't part of the approved
but there's an
plan.
allocation for some,
And I'd need to
thoughts.
review this for sure. I know we came in under budget on the bid, but this isn't an approved budget item.
We should clarify that the capital improvement plan had a lower amount. We were anticipating higher bids, and so we're glad that they weren't higher. So we are falling about $17,000 above the CIP right now with the changes that were made from the last meeting.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I think if I'm understanding correctly, what Director Sheets is saying is even though it may not be wrapped around the existing courts, is because of the placement and the way maybe sound travels or the concern for where the sound is, we may get some benefit. So I guess, am I understanding that correctly? Did I kind of...
Correct. I was saying that they'll be placed along the west edge of the new courts and would anticipate having an effect on the sound traveling from the existing courts in that direction as well. Would not help with concerns to the north. We have heard some neighbors express concern. We've also had neighbors say, don't block my view. I want to see those courts. So it's a little bit of a quandary.
Let me just jump in a little bit on the public process. That was one of the things that was offered up is some type of along that north edge is some fencing and some of those things, and that was the feedback that we received, is that, hey, we don't want to cover up their view of the park or the actual pickleball courts. So I would say that if the council's interested in looking at that, we can revisit with the residents, but we actually don't want to, hey, if they're interested in still the view, we don't want to cover that view up too.
Mr. Mayor, if I can. My suggestion is to let's have the new ones go ahead with the construction, see what the acoustic block looks like on the new ones, see what impact or effect it may have on the sound as the park as a whole. And if there's something we can address, we can do that with further discussions and budgeting down the road.
Just a quick question, if I may. It appears that there is some sort of, I don't know if it's canvas or something hanging there now on the north side of the courts, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's a windbreak.
If that's meant, well, that blocks the view. The point, I mean, like you say, I agree with what you just said, that we can look at it in the future, but I had a concern that addressing what the public had a concern on. To the north, there's a lot of homes there that you can clearly hear the noise, And in the video presentation of the material that was used to deaden the noise, it was very effective. So there's a trade-off there. Do you want to hear the bonk, 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 or do you want to see the courts? So, okay.
Okay.
Any other discussion on that? All right, and any discussion from the public? Yeah, go ahead. Name and city.
Cedar Falls. Again, not fully aware of the circumstances, but are those courts going to be lighted? No?
No.
No.
So,
And then what time do the parks close?
Dusk.
10 o'clock, so you shouldn't have a problem after hours, right?
shouldn't.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right, any other discussion from, and just clarify, that was, I think, an intentional choice to not have the lights because of the timing issue and wanted to make sure people were out of there by dark. So any other discussion from the public? All right, seeing none, roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Madam Clerk, and now move to ordinances. Item number 45, pass an ordinance amending Chapter 10, Garbage and Refuse of the Code of Ordinances relative to containers, placement for collection, penalty of violation, and service charges established upon its first consideration. Do we have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Seconded, and any discussion? Any discussion from the public? All right, seeing none, we need a roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item number 46, allow bills and claims for June 17th, 2024. Do we have a motion?
So move.
And
Second.
seconded, any discussion from council? And any discussion from the public? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Any council updates and announcements? Seeing none, any council referrals, any pressing referrals for? Seeing none, then a motion to adjourn,
So move.
Second.
seconded, and voice vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Someone's. Thank you, everyone. This meeting is adjourned.